That was pretty cool, right? Magic in anime is awesome. I love it when they go pew, 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 lightning. I honestly think anime has some of the best depictions of magic in media. It just sucks that these days it's watered down and has absolutely no stakes to it. The biggest issue that a lot of these series have now is that they just run out of mana and that's it. They also don't really use it outside of combat. There's really no substance to the magic at all. That's kind of boring. Magic should be interesting. It should be fun, but also a little bit dangerous. And there is no series that does that better than
Fullmetal Alchemist.
This series held a #1 spot on my anime list for years for a number of reasons. Its story, its characters, the world building, and most of all, the magic system of alchemy. A magic system that's grounded, based in logic, and unforgiving. And in this video, I want to break down what really makes alchemy so much better than most magic systems in recent anime. I'm not gonna lie, on my first attempt to watch Fullmetal back in 2016, I did not enjoy it. My tiny teen brain couldn't understand how alchemy worked. So when I finally watched it again this past year, I realized how stupid I was, because it's actually really simple, even if the whole process is about manipulating matter. But if you look at it like this, alchemists can only do two things. One, they can break stuff down, or two, they can reshape stuff and give it a new form. That is actually really simple, and they do it by using these transmutation circles. These normally act as a sort of blueprint for what they want the alchemy to do, meaning that most alchemists are nerds because they have to actually understand the entire alchemic makeup of the object that they're transmuting to even do the entire process. This usually means that a lot of them kind of just study like one thing and get like really good at it. You even have families like passing down technique, but I mean, we do have some characters that are just super nerds and can spew the entire periodic table and manipulate everything. And there's no mana, so they could spam that shit unlimitedly if it wasn't for some basic rules. For starters, I can't just throw like a snowball at you and magically turn it into a brick. No, it has to share the same attributes. So it's turning something from water to ice and vice versa. And then you have the law of equivalent exchange. In order to obtain or create something, something of equal value must be lost or destroyed. Something cannot be made of nothing. Now, allow me to explain in layman terms. See how this guy makes this cool fucking spear? Notice how the ground starts to disappear as he makes the spear. That is the law of equivalent exchange at play. And one should never try to bypass the law of equivalent exchange because the result is unpredictable and dangerous. And that's how magic should just feel. It should feel like these characters are channeling this chaotic force of nature. When they're shooting lightning out of their hands, they should be concerned that they're shooting lightning out of their hands and be more focused on controlling that than, oh no, my mana, it's running out. This gives alchemy a lot more depth and adds to the world building and how the characters use alchemy, instead of it just being like, I was born with mana, which means that I can cast spells whenever I want to. It's more like this. Roy Mustang's gloves actually only causes a spark. The transmutation circle in the back actually manipulates and controls the oxygen, which then gives him control over the flame and how powerful it can be. I might be a nerd, but I love that because that's just really cool and unique, and it causes some really great scenes later when he doesn't have his gloves. But it also creates scenarios where he's just kind of useless sometimes because of how the alchemy works with his gloves. I just love world building like that. Now I'm gonna address the elephant in the room here. Hello, Steve. Okay. Someone's probably already commented by now. Actually, it's not magic, it's science. They themselves even say in the show multiple times it's a science. I, however, would argue that it's both. The series takes a lot of inspiration from the real world alchemy, which back in the old times was just our basic understanding of chemistry, but it was also more than just that. It was about philosophy and spirituality, with a ton of people believing that it was going to lead to immortality, or at least the perfection of the human body and soul, which, mind you, is one of the major plot points of the series. But a lot of myths and folklore surrounding magic believed the same thing. In ancient cultures, magic was often associated with religious or spiritual practices, which normally involved rituals and sacrificial offerings of material goods, blood, and other valuable stuff. This reinforced the idea that accessing supernatural power required giving something of value in return. Sounds familiar, right? I feel like the alchemy in the series is a combination of both of these ideas. It's logical, yes, but it's also mystical at the same time, and I think that's fine. It lets the series kind of explore that question itself. I mean, the story starts with the two main characters breaking the law of equivalent exchange, and after seeing what they go through because they did that, it makes you wonder if it really is just science. Because see, Edward and Alphonse's mom just died from dead anime mom disease. So they decide they're gonna try human transmutation to bring her back from the dead. This is a huge taboo in alchemy because there is no equivalent exchange for human life. But the law of equivalent exchange still needs something. So to compensate for that, Alphonse loses his body and Edward his leg. During this process, Edward meets truth and is then forced through what is called the gate, where he then learns the truth about alchemy. No, I'm no scientist. I'm just a humble guy talking about anime. But that doesn't sound like science. This process also gives Edward special abilities. He can now use alchemy without having to use transmutation circles, and he gains knowledge that he just previously didn't have. He's able to bind Alphonse's soul to a suit of armor with ease, even though it does cost him his arm. Honestly, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that the series tries to blend that line between the mystic and the scientific, as one of the plot points that they really kind of do with alchemy throughout the series is alchemy versus religion, with science being seen as satanic. Back in the ye old times, alchemy kind of has that same problem with the Ishvalan people seeing it as blasphemy, but again, magic was said to be satanic by some religious groups. This isn't the only time that alchemy kind of focuses on these problems. As the series goes on, Edward and Al kind of realize that alchemy being misused is a really common problem. The country that they live in is using alchemy to make alchemic weapons. And then there's the Civil War that kind of haunts the narrative, where a bunch of alchemists were sent in to wipe out the Ishvalan people, the people that don't like alchemy, and so they don't use it. So it was really like a one-side kind of war. This really does start to paint the picture that alchemy really doesn't have a morality, which honestly I love. I kind of hate it when a series goes blood magic and necromancy are evil. Never use it. Here's the problem with that, Steve. See, I don't think shooting fire or lightning with the purpose to maim or kill them is necessarily good either. Again, magic is a chaotic and dangerous force of nature that can be used for either good or bad based on who's using it, and Fullmetal Alchemist does a fantastic job at showing that alchemy can be used for good. The people of Xing use it for healing and medicinal use, but alchemy is a power, and power corrupts even the best of people with good intentions. Edward and Alphonse just wanted to bring their mom back, their teacher, who's just a simple housewife! Okay, no need to yell over me, that was kind of rude, but yeah, she's just a housewife that wanted to use alchemy to save someone she loved as well. These are good people who use alchemy the wrong way and they end up paying the price for it, but then there are people who generally just use alchemy to hurt others and to further their own agenda. The first time that we see this is with Tucker, a state alchemist who sucks at being a state alchemist, so much so that he really hasn't done anything to further his research into alchemy. So he decides the best way to complete his research is to take his daughter and his dog and combine them into a chimera, using the argument that this is alchemy. To say what he did is bad or is evil is to say that alchemy is bad, even taunting Ed, saying, what's the difference between what I did with my daughter versus what you did by binding Alphonse's soul to that suit of armor? And all of this comes to a head with the Philosopher's Stone. Because at first, this seems like the thing that's gonna get Ed and Al their bodies back, but the more that they research it, the more that they search for it, they stumble upon this conspiracy and find that, yes, it is real, this Philosopher's Stone does exist. It will increase the power of their alchemy, it will allow them to bypass the law of equivalent exchange, but it does so because it's made up of human souls, which leaves Ed and Al with the question of, do we use the stone knowing what we know? Are we comfortable getting our bodies back knowing that to do it, human souls were sacrificed? But what makes this so interesting is that the villains don't mind using it, and of course they don't care, they're supposed to be the villains. To them it's just alchemy. But then there are the people that are supposed to be the good guys who want to use the stone for their own reason, be it immortality or more power or to heal others. And I mean, it makes sense that Alchemist in-universe would think like this because the series does such a great job at showing us that they just see it as a tool. And when you integrate the magic system into character development and the lore and the world building, it allows the audience to form their own opinion on alchemy if they think it's good, bad, or if it's a tool. And I mean, Fullmetal Alchemist does such a good job at doing that because alchemy is in every single aspect of the show. And I'm not saying that every single series needs to have some philosophy behind the magic, but I just think it needs to feel like it's a part of the world, that it's not just this thing that people are just able to do because they have mana or they don't have mana. And that's just why I think Fullmetal Alchemist just has the best magic system. It has a philosophy, it has depth to it. You feel like the world wouldn't exist without alchemy, and that is why it's the best magic system. Well, until Witch Hat's anime finally comes out, then that would probably be the best magic system in anime, but that's a manga for right now, so it doesn't count. If you want to know more about that, go watch Kami's video about Witch Hat. His video kind of inspired me to make this video about the best depiction of magic in anime. And if you like this video, like and comment, I reply to those.